Woke. This term has been thrown about on the internet for a long while now, and despite being grammatically incorrect, its meaning also changes from person to person. Most of the time, it is used as an insult, a title that a person or creation is full of political messaging and should be avoided. And it always seems to rise up whenever new games or movies are released, with video after video of claims that wokeness has ruined X. And it got me thinking, is wokeness really the enemy? Well, before we start, let's clarify what the term woke actually means. According to Wikipedia, woke is an adjective derived from African American vernacular English, originally meaning alertness to racial prejudice and discrimination. Beginning in the 2010s, it came to be used as slang for a broader awareness of social inequalities such as racial injustice, sexism, and denial of LGBT rights. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound like an insult. The definition is effectively stating that woke just means aware of discrimination in the multitude of forms it may take. Based solely off of this definition alone, I would say that no, wokeness is not the enemy. But wait, so then why do so many woke games and media fail? It seems that every other month this year, we've heard of a new game coming out that pushes hard on its inclusiveness, only to end up another dumpster fire that no one plays. Well, to try and figure this out, I have two examples of games. One is a success, and one is a failure. But both I would label as being woke in some capacity. So let's start off with the most recent controversy, Dragonageveilguard. Now, it may come as a shock to some of you, but Dragon Age as a franchise has never shied away from having LGBT representation. Dorian from Origins is the perfect example, as he is homosexual, forced into a situation by his father, and you, the player, have the option to help him face his trauma. This would seem to mirror exactly what Tash is going through from Veilguard. Well, that is for, well, watch it for yourself.
Here, vegetables.
Thank you.
So, I'm non-binary.
What does that mean?
It means I don't feel like a man or a woman.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
If this is because I have criticized your dress or your manners...
It isn't!
Under the Cune, the term for one whose gender does not match the one given to them at birth was a cunethlock. Perhaps you are like that.
Why do you have to keep picking at it? Why can't you just be happy for me?
Evitash, chakra to ebra.
So I'm supposed to struggle with who I am? Even if I don't feel like I fit, even if I feel wrong?
No, you misunderstood.
Then say it better! Why am I never enough for you?
What you just witnessed was a failure of narrative, and I want to express 2 points as to why I think audiences hate this. Firstly, there is no option to disagree. In the prequels, you have the choice to side with or against your companions. This choice is beautiful as it allows for consequences of your actions to take place. Being railroaded into what the game decides is the correct choice eliminates the fun out of the choice in the first place. Being the good guy only matters if you can be the bad guy. Otherwise, you remove the player's agency to begin with, and you might as well just be making another COD if you're going to remove a roleplay element of an RPG game. To add on to this, I personally think that Tash handled the situation terribly. But the options you are given are only to put the blame on the mother, not Tash. Secondly, no human being speaks like this, nor do the Canary. It is shown in the first title how they are logical, pragmatic, and make choices devoid of emotion. The mother is actually a decent display of this, as she's questioning what is being told to her in an attempt to understand it by relating the topic towards subjects she is more knowledgeable of. This isn't an example of rejection. It is an example of a character trying to understand. And if this was happening in real life, the person would accept what is being told to them if it was explained a bit better. But what is displayed in the game is an immediate reaction of anger towards the mother and her attempts of understanding, which will only ever push people away from the message you are trying to convey. On the other hand, a game that I would say is one of the greatest written games ever made, Disco Elysium. Now, going off of the last points, Disco Elysium gives so much choice that you can actually easily be overwhelmed your first time playing. You can become a communist, racist, who is homophobic on top, and the story treats you with just as much respect as other playthroughs. This is because in narrative storytelling, you shouldn't include options that are just going to talk down to the player and make them feel like they're dumb. Giving the players the choice to fail, or the choice to be the bad person, is what makes RPG games so good, let alone adding to their replayability. Elysium also has a prominent LGBT character, in the form of your companion, Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi, one of the greatest characters ever written. In case you missed it, as I did the first time I played, Kim is homosexual. The game gives you that information, and you are free to do with it what you will. This is called trusting your audience, and is a great way to get the player base to put themselves into the character, rather than railroading them into thinking what you want to think. Also, as a side note, here are a few screenshots illustrating just how watered down the choices have become over time in the Dragon Age franchise as well. Veilguard didn't fail because they included LGBT themes, or because they went woke. The franchise has done that from the beginning. Veilguard failed because they hired writers who didn't care about the franchise and tried to shorten in political ideologies so poorly that it came across as mocking rather than educational. They failed because of the writing. And that's the point I want to make. Wokeness isn't some big evil that ruins video games. There are plenty of games out there with some level of LGBT or racial messaging that are great. In fact, here are a few. And these are just the games I own. I don't want people to see woke and believe that a game is shit. These themes aren't inherently bad nor harmful. What is bad is the terrible writers who shove Mary Sue and self-insert characters into media with no regard for storytelling or a basic knowledge on how to connect with an audience. Woke isn't the enemy, bad writers are. And of course, it isn't just video games that are having this issue. As of late, more and more forms of media are being harmed by hiring these bad writers, and it's easy to see why. Most everyone deserves to be treated with a basic level of respect. Two men kissing isn't going to harm you in any way. The message of LGBT is important, and I think that most people would agree with that, in the Western world at least. Yet just pushing that message alone doesn't make your media good. Your creation can have a great political message behind it, but if the way you push that message is bad, you have failed to make something great. There are plenty of examples of strong female characters, from Shell in Portal to Ellen Ripley from Alien. There are plenty of stories that display powerful messages for persons of colour, from Django to Night of the Living Dead. And we are getting more and more normalised LGBT representation as well. Just look at the new season of Arcane for that. These characters are ones that audiences love and prove that the ideal of wokeness isn't inherently bad. I will leave you with my overall opinion. To any game journalist or director out there, hire better writers.